My ancestors staved off the forces of the plane of chaos, and I'm sitting in the middle of Sharn, what was once the greatest city of our empire, getting drunk on cheap wine. I'm glad that they're dead.
Like I didn't know you wanted expensive.
I'm glad that they're dead.
So
and I laugh. And I laugh.
They just keep you alive forever. That's how that works.
Well, you're not really alive.
That sounds terrible. I'd rather be a kraken.
Luke is gonna interrupt and be like, "Well, the point of the matter why I brought this up is because this is probably gonna be beneficial to you," and he's gonna take a pack off and hand it to you.
Who?
It is a handy haversack.
Is it me?
Yeah, he hands it to you.
Oh. Okay.
Wait a second. Is Luca at the drunk where he starts giving us stuff? Or liquor, please.
Nope. It's a hug. It's a hug for Ike.
Oh,
right? Yeah, right.
Oh.
The
Right,
power
it's a
of
bro hug.
friendship. I always get the power of friendship. Never the power of a sword.
Hey, I gave you your swords.
That's true.
Oh. If you guys want to meet N, Zara said it was okay.
I would like to meet Zare.
I
Would
don't
you?
know if you want to.
You've
meet
already
Zare.
met him.
I
Yeah.
think that I am sufficient knowing that he's a sniveling coward who has hidden
That's
behind
not true. I
Well-
think you would get along so well.
If we're to do anything in this city, I have to probably prepare for the worst, which is to be excommunicated.
That's not gonna
However,
happen. Do you know how many times I've gotten threatened to be excommunicated?
however,
At
I
least
don't.
twice.
Wait,
However,
What? When was that?
Wait a minute. What is this news?
well,
This is news.
Star Wars actually gonna like slam his hand on the table and cast false life on himself to like temporarily sober himself up, so he can actually like pay attention. Like,
Luca's gonna be like,
so hold on. Stalwart does that because he thinks that's the way it works. So there's drunken logic. It doesn't work.
no. At least I look more less dead.
It's like drinking coffee doesn't actually have any effect whatsoever on
Placebo,
sobering.
though, you know.
Placebo.
So Luca's gonna be like, well, due to our group's actions, it seems that I've been threatened to be excommunicated from my family.
Really, this is all Reich's fault.
Why didn't you tell me about this sooner?
You can understand how finding out that my brother isn't real and then threatened with that, I'd kind of shut down.
Have to
Listen.
be quiet about that.
I understand everything that has been happening to you is literally unthinkable in some cases, but I can help you here.
I can't.
A member of House Leondar, the Arenal Elf, they can't do anything for you. But my father, he's a revered man back from where I come from. And as you are probably well aware, the Hobgoblins have many ties to House Deneath. If you told me earlier,
Luca, you have so many friends.
listen, I met earlier today with a man of House Deneath, a person who is a recruiter for the Hobgoblin people back in the day.
He was an old man, Luca. Really old.
Okay.
That is irrelevant. What is important is he's a member of House Deneath, someone who would listen to me, and someone I might be able to get the ear of to help us out. However, he will not help us freely.
So you're saying he expects money?
No, he'll expect us to earn his trust. And I think I might have a plan, though I'll have to sort it out. I think what we should do for now is we should do as Karen is suggesting and head to her home. Get ourselves more of that poison so we're prepared for the future. And maybe have ourselves a little bit of fun because this dour mood is hanging over the entire group.
That's not my home. I don't have a home.
You and me both, buddy. And, like punches your arm.
Yeah. I'll
And then
punch, I'll,
Luca gives
I'll punch
Reich-
you back probably too hard.
Luca gives Reich a
False life,
look
like-
like, this is why I don't want to get excommunicated. Just gives him a look like these.
Wait, that's not
Luca,
why. I just don't like my
family.
house.
Luca,
He doesn't say that. He's given him a look.
Oh.
Regardless of what happens here, you'll always be a member of this group. I know it's not much compared to a family that you've known your entire life, but let me tell you, as the boy who might as well be an orphan, it can be enough sometimes.
This family is not tied by race or blood. We're tied by that we actually like each other. Do you know how rare that is? That's something that should be cherished.
And then Reich says with a little toothy smirk, and he says, "I barely like Karen."
Luke is gonna say, now that you
punch
mention it,
again.
now that you mention it, if Odette was with us, she probably wouldn't have killed that changeling, and we'd probably be okay.
Wow.
He died.
A lot of
oh
people
shit!
aren't with
Sorry,
us.
Due to
sorry,
your shitty judgment.
sorry.
Stalbo actually gets up.
But
and
I
goes
don't
for-
understand why.
He just fucking leaves.
Why is he being mean to the PC Aaron? That makes no sense.
What?
What?
What do you mean to the PC Aaron?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Metagame snark.
No, Odette literally
That was
missed
illogical.
every attack.
The funny thing is all he did was upset Stalbo.
Mm.
At least
That's
you were
how
like,
we're sad.
And when Stelbor gets up, Rex's like, "Oh, it's damn it."
and then he comes back, gets the book, and then he.
Probably shouldn't have made that joke. I
Look
shouldn't
what you
have.
did, Luca. You have terrible sense of humor.
Yeah, that was still kind of funny.
Well, then perhaps we should do what you guys insist we should do. However, I'm going to go tell my house where I'm going so they can keep tabs on me.
That's stupid. Don't do that. Like, you can't get in trouble if they don't know where you are.
The least that you deserve.
Wow.
As soon as I see Luca, I'm gonna ground him. Now, where is Luca? Where is he? Where is that Luca?
Luca, if they are to excommunicate you, it will take them some time to reach any meaningful decision one way or the
And
other.
they won't. It'll be fine.
Regardless of what happens, we can take some time to get away from it all, so to speak.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Clear your head.
Next country over. So much more fun. Less rules.
Sure.
Okay, so you guys pretty much
Fewer-
finished up
fewer
what you
rules.
guys are talking about. Obviously your plan is to head out there. It is going to be a couple days before you can go. Luke, I imagine, is going to avoid the compounds, because why poke the bear is more or less what the party is suggesting to him. But I do have to ask, did Kieran want Reich and Stalbor, or did Reich and Stalbor want to meet En?
I don't know if it's worth the risk. And actually, I would tell them that it's a risk.
It's one of those things where, when we're having an actual sober conversation, be like,
Yeah.
I would
an
like
actual
to
sober
meet them
conversation.
again as Nico, but I wouldn't. If you'd explain like there's a lack in time, you'd probably explain it pretty literally to Stalbo, and you'd be like, that's actually 100% reasonable. I would like to meet them again at some point, but he has no rush.
So, I don't know how much your character will remember from the previous night before, but a sober Reich would be like, "Yeah, I have a great interest in meeting En." It would be
Again, Kim would be like, do we have to do it now? Can it be after we get back from Stormreach? I wouldn't want to jeopardize his position.
I have all the time in the world.
Their position.
Oh, that's funny. I wasn't sure if Reich would be like, no, I want it
No.
now. I need some evidence,
Yeah.
man.
He's a
okay,
monk,
right?
okay,
technically.
Cool.
I have patience.
Yeah, no, no question about that. I just meant for the purpose of evidence. Okay, cool. Because of Luca's position.
Well, when I see him next, what I want to do is I want to see if he drinks it, like the alcohol or if he tends to not drink. Because my only choice at this point to get evidence is I'm going to feed him poison in front of people who can watch him transform.
Right, it's a
Drink
lovely
this.
chat.
Yeah. All right, so
Poisoning some poor man's drink.
you guys are intend to head back to your house, correct?
Whose house? My house?
Sorry, to Stormreach. My apologies.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, not my
Yeah.
house.
My apologies. You guys intend to head back to Stormreach, and we certainly can do that. But first, Stalbor, you picked up an issue of the Kornberg Chronicle. So there is zero news in the Cornbrook Chronicle about what had happened in the Grey Wall Outpost. Why
I
would
was
there be?
assuming there would be,
Okay.
honestly.
Awesome. The Cornbrook Chronicle tells of tensions building along the wall, the lines between Thrain and Karnath. Sorry, the words escaped my brain for a minute. Between Thrain and Karnath, the tensions are really building between there. As a matter of fact, it's come to the point where there are even a few skirmishes wherein one Thrain life was lost. However, there were several injured, and 4 dozen undead were destroyed. And a bunch of citizens' homes were pilfered along the border as well. There's some other strange things that are happening. There's been some sabotage to like boats that exist along the Scion Sounds over in that area, and things like that. Also, there was a skirmish between a paladin and a necromancer on Thronehold. They happened to be there for diplomatic purposes, and there was an actual skirmish that broke out between them, and Royal Guard had literally had to physically break them up, and both of them were imprisoned while things were being handled. And the sentence is like, it's one of those like they're still in prison as we speak right now. During this matter, the many gnomes from House Civis, thank you. Many gnomes from House Civis have been hired to be transported there and act as kind of like a go-between for the different factions, so it's for the different countries, to try to comes to some sort of understanding. There's been quite a few gnomes from House Civis speaking to the king of Karnath and the bishops and the voice of the flame in Thrain.
So it was a Thrain paladin and a Karnath necromancer.
Correct,
Cool.
exactly.
Okay, cool.
But beyond that, there's a whole bunch of like gnomish from House Civis people on the ground speaking to people as well, trying to calm things down. They've actually hired a considerable number of people from House Larendar and House Orion to transport them back and forth rather rapidly, with the highest ranking members of Civis using high rank members of Orion for teleportation even to get places very quickly. It's one of those things where things there kind of blew up so much that even in the back end of the article is where you find out that an entire village in what is it, Western Onder.
It was all about the politics and the drama.
And the fact that an entire village of about 200 people was destroyed in Western Onder. But there was like a footnote in the article. And it's like, so the whole point of the article, the point of the person that's writing it and everything is more or less just like, are we on the brink of another war? Are things going to devolve into more combat?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like
journalism. I'll literally show this to Luca, be like, aren't you glad we aren't in Karnath anymore, huh? Like, being like friendly, but you know, he probably isn't into it.
Yeah, he's not much into it.
But I'll be paying attention to that. That's actually why I picked up the Chronicle, because I thought that was a very interesting thing.
Yep.
I was gonna say if there's
Again, we should probably keep an eye on what Nico's doing too.
And because Stalbor is wicked smart, there is you do once again find like a bit of a barely a footnote that things seem quiet in the Lazar Principalities.
That's fucking weird.
Going between the lines, yeah. I would probably say, like, while we're dealing in conspiracies, I'm going to try and keep up on this as much as I can. I mean, the journalists who write this, they know more than they're saying. They leave little notes for each other.
So, you guys spend a couple days in Sharn waiting for the transportation to get between Sharn and Stormreach, and eventually you're able to. Well, actually, I'm curious. You want to be on a boat, not an airship, correct? Aaron?
I don't know.
Boat.
And do you want a water galleon or do you want a boat?
Whatever's easier.
Okay, sure.
Like for the house.
Yeah, if you want to
I don't really care.
If you want to take a boat, it's super easy. They will gladly get you on board a boat. We're talking fast.
I'd rather have a House Larendar galleon, personally, if I could. Do I have to roll for that?
You do, but well, you have to roll for it if you want it quick. You don't if you don't care how much time has passed.
Quick.
Yeah, we'll try for quick, like, and if it doesn't happen, then I'll wait.
But you know, it's going to be ones if you fail the quick, it's going to be really slow.
Is that true?
No,
Probably.
not entirely.
Aw.
It's just you used your favor.
Yeah, for the month.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, so you make the request, and they get you on a galleon again within 2 days. So quickly, no problem. They find space for one. It's one of those things where they're like, "Yep, no problem, Kieran. We've got a spot for you, a nice, comfortable room for Luca. We have a spot for him. We have a room for the elf, and we'll find space for the other one."
I'd suggest he stays
I mean,
with me.
I'm sure he can stay with one of the other two.
Yeah, right.
No,
Right can stay with me.
If they find me some other place, I wouldn't complain.
And you guys are able to get on the water galleon and make your way across the sea and over there. Now, we do have to see if there's an incident along the journey. So I will say, if you roll a 1 to 50, nothing happens. If you roll a 51 to 75, it will be weather. If you roll above that, it'll be worse.
There's always weather, Scott.
Who
There's
would like
always
to roll the
worse,
die?
Scott.
Bad
I want to
weather.
roll.
I want to.
It's got to be
Well,
Kieran.
hey.
Kieran's
Aaron,
Lyrandar.
Aaron,
It's
you can roll.
Lyrandar.
It's
Let Laren
it's
do it.
Lyrandar.
Doing
It's
it.
Lyrandar.
Fuck. What
What
did that
happens?
Kieran doing?
Why?
What
why-
happens?
What happens? What happens?
Ooh, nothing.
Nothing.
Oh,
It's
nothing.
1 to 50.
Oh.
Ooh.
Aw, man.
Yep. So you are more than safe making your way there. You're
Such
on
a boring trip.
you're
How
on a
long
House
before we-
Lyrandar water galleon. They know what they're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah,
Oh, what are they in combat? But
Yep.
anyways,
Damn it.
so you're on a House Lyrandar ship. They know the seas like back of their hands. This thing doesn't ever have to stop because the elemental, the water elemental that's bound to it. So it just keeps pushing on, and you guys are able to avoid any issues. You even go, of course, around the Sahagin Pass. So you make your way all the way to the Storm Reach. And there's a reason why you're here, Aaron. Could you please remind us why you're here?
We are here for a couple different reasons. Number one, the information that we got from Dane Dilindar after he passed away, the hidden inscriptions he left on the sewing of his clothing, indicated that Lesria, I think her name was involved somehow. And the exact wording was... As I pull it up. Sorry.
It's a personal Skype chat between me and you. It's personal.
I also have it. I have it
I had
here.
to pull it up.
Lazria has
I
stolen
do.
my conductor, and with it my spark.
With my spark. Yep.
Say that a little bit more slowly so it's easier to understand.
Lazria has stolen my conductor, and with it, my spark.
Kira knows who Lesria is. She lives in Stormreach. She is a member of House Lyrandar. And they do not get along.
Wait a second. You weren't just going to have fun?
We're
No,
gonna have
no.
fun too. We're gonna
We
have
talked
fun too.
about seeing-
I promise we will have fun.
When you guys make dock, when you guys actually hit the docks
Scott,
there,
how long were we traveling?
a little over a month.
Did I read my book?
Oh! Yes. So the
Great.
thing is, when you're reading this book, thank you for reminding me, Ollie. When you're reading this book, this is not an easy book to navigate. Again, it's literally one of those things where, as you're reading it, you have to reread paragraphs, you have to reread chapters, because it's just so difficult to... It's like, by the time you get to the bottom of a page, you're like, wait. Oh, now that I have this further understanding of what they're trying to explain, let me reread what it said back there. And it's literally things about it's best ways to memorize details, new ways to come to conclusions. It's literally just like teaching you different ways to think and to understand and so on and so forth. Not
Old
giving you
ways.
knowledge. It's literally
Ancient
ways to open your mind. And after all is said and done, after you spend about 4 or 5 days kind of like poring over this thing and studying it as best you can, you, Ollie, have +2 permanently increased to your intelligence. Beyond that, the maximum intelligence you could possibly have goes from 20 to 22 because
Whoa.
you have just finished reading a Tome of Clear Thought.
What the fuck?
Yeah, Ollie. Let the rest of the party get in on that.
We
Well,
can't.
I imagine the
don't think I can.
it wouldn't work for you lot.
Well, it's kind of funny actually, because this means something more to Ollie than the rest of you. A Tome of Clear Thought, or any of those tomes for that matter, they function beautifully. +2, 2 to increase, blah, 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 blah. But then their magic wears away for 100 years.
Holy fuck.
So literally, you'd ask, and he'd be like, We'll see. I realized by then. Like,
But it's funny because people like elves hoard
That's
these
nothing.
things
Yeah.
because in 100
do it again.
years you can read
Right.
it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, so
so he's
elves.
gonna keep it. Is the thing? He's
Yeah.
still got it.
Yeah.
That's why you got the haversack, so you can store it easily.
Yeah, I actually need to find out what that does. I'll do that. I actually have never seen the haversack.
Bag of holding, but smaller.
Oh, good.
Heber's handy haversack. You can Google it. It's literally what the gnome is able to make. No, that's a bag of holding in the other one. Never mind. All right, so moving on. You guys, when you pull into the port, as you pull into the port, because I imagine you sent a notice to your uncle saying that you're going to be arriving, knowing which water galleon you were coming in on. When you pull into the port, there is a house guard waiting for you, Aaron. But not like
Okay.
house guard waiting for you. Just like your uncle's excited to see you again, and so
Right.
he's having an escort for you.
Right, of course. So I would go up and just like, all right, guys, get the stuff. Let's go.
Okay,
And
so
get the guard.
yep, you get with the guard, and you continue. And you go with them to the house. The guard does stop somewhere else along the way. They go all the way to House Lyrandar, but like because your uncle controls a lot of Lyrandar here. They go all the way to House Lyrandar, but they go to like where the visitors of House Lyrandar, like the suites and whatnot for them are, and they drop off your friends. They're like, oh, we're here for you guys, so you can get yourselves comfortable.
Oh. And Karen kind of shrugged, like, I guess this is what you're saying.
Looks pretty nice.
Do you guys stay there, or?
Well, I mean,
Like, literally, the
feel
three
like
of you were
if
so
that's-
paused. We're so still and silent. I was like,
Mhm.
did my internet die? Then Aaron
No, I
spoke. and
I
was
just
like,
don't
okay.
like if we're
No,
like being shown to our rooms. Then like, sure, we're being shown to our rooms.
yeah, there's not
Yeah.
much else
I
to
don't
say.
think
Like,
either of us would stop it.
when none of us are gonna press
Yeah.
to go.
Okay, so once they actually go and actually get into the rooms or whatever, just Kieran is coming to meet with the uncle. Okay, so Kieran, who's your uncle again?
Yep.
My uncle is, I always pronounce his name wrong. It's Kaladin de Lyrandar.
Kaladin.
Kaladin. I always say Kaladin. It's Kaladin.
It's Kaladin de Lyrandar, the Kraken. So you
Yes,
go
the
to
Kraken.
meet with Kaladin, and when you meet with him, as you like are kind of walking up to the house. So as you're walking up to the main estates that is his, you can hear like muffled shouting from inside the house. And as you're like making your way across the way, it's getting louder and louder. The fact that there is a very loud shouting. And you kind of like make out a little bit of what he's saying, of what's being said, I should say. Could you roll me a perception check? You make out a little bit of what's being said. What is all that noise?
I don't know.
I think Will's fixing his camera.
Oh, Will, mute
Yes.
your mic.
Oh, okay.
You're like heavy breathing, weird, noisy.
It sounds
I was
like we're in
wondering. It's a little odd.
Here's my
different kind of
staircase.
dungeon right now.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, what is going on? All right, so anyways, he is really still. So one camera died. I wasn't wrong. So you hear shouting. He's like, and I said you'll get them there on time. It'll be that, or you'll be walking the plank.
Turn right
Oh, shit.
around. Well, come back another day, maybe.
So she turns around and starts to make like just literally turns on the heel and
Yep,
starts walking
nope.
out. And the guard's like, Kieran.
He seems busy right now.
Oh, but he was excited to see you.
Okay.
And then he kind of like looks back inside. The guard like looks back inside like the way of the shouting, and like looks at you, and then looks back inside. He's like, but perhaps a game of shuffleboard.
It's better than Conquer. Better than Conquer.
And you guys make your way outside because it's nice tropical climate, so why not be outside, right?
Yeah, of course.
Hot as balls out here. So you guys make your way outside and grab up some sticks and start playing shuffleboard. So the type of shuffleboard that's here is a little different than what we have in real life. It's actually a very aggressive game that requires like smashing of each other's pieces and
Wait,
whatnot.
I don't think Ollie knows what shuffleboard is.
Oh, you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to Google
Old
it,
people
Ollie.
play it.
It sounds like something old people would play.
He's never
Yeah,
had
but-
a s'more.
Shuffleboard.
Like,
You've never had a s'more, Ollie?
they don't have them in
I
UK,
didn't know
apparently.
what were.
For my
no.
wife's birthday in October,
S'more.
where we're doing a big event, there's going to be a nice big campfire with s'mores and stuff.
S'more in the UK is a flavor of things you get from America. Like, oh, it's an American thing
Well,
in
hold
s'more
on,
flavor. I didn't know it was a
Ollie,
thing.
Ollie,
I thought it was
Ollie,
a flavor.
First, you take the gram.
Okay.
What is a
so wait,
gram?
They don't
so-
have graham
Sean,
crackers.
I have
Okay,
time for
okay,
this.
okay,
I
we don't
have
have-
time
yeah,
for this.
exactly. Okay.
William, they don't have graham crackers.
Oh
We
man.
can't teach him how
Go
to
watch
be
the
right.
Sandlot.
All right, all I'm
Go
gonna
watch
say,
the
we
Sandlot.
have to get back to the game. I
Right.
will say that there is a tier on Patreon that's very, very, very far away to get Ollie to the United States for an in-game session, and we will feed him all the United States foods, all the bad chocolate, all of it. All right. So, anyways, moving on, and you have to have it with Hershey's. It's not a s'mores without Hershey's. So, moving on. You guys are so you guys go outside, and so one of the things that actually with the game is because the pieces are made out of like this really, really hefty ceramic, is you actually get like a ridiculous number of extra points by literally breaking a piece, by shattering a piece apart when you make them collide together. So it's
that's funny.
it's a very aggressive game that exists
Fantastic.
here. And then it's even more funny because the Stormreach way of doing it is the pieces aren't just like, okay, the shuffleboard pieces that are blah, 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 blah. They actually have a bit more of an ornate nature to them. Like usually you choose like a faction that you play the game with. So like for instance, your opponent chooses Sahagin, and so all of his pieces look like either sharks or Sahagin on the board, whereas you would choose something else that has significance to you, and you guys play the game that way. But do me a favor, roll for me what would it be, a dexterity check?
Dexterity check?
Mhm.
Save or just check?
Check,
Just a
because
roll.
you're not proficient in the game. Okay, perfect. And I will gladly roll as well, so we can see who wins this game. Roll
This is enjoyable.
1d20 plus 3. 1 dexterity, 2 proficiency.
Oof.
Oh, that went from a 22-2, and I was like, oh, and then it landed on 18. So you guys play the game, and he gives you a good old whomping, and it beats you by 6, gives you a good old whomping in the game. And it was one of those things. How does Kieran react to that?
Disappointed, but honestly just excited to be playing because this is a great time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you guys genuinely have a good time or whatever. And after a while, eventually your uncle comes out, and when he comes out, he's always seemingly overdressed for being in tropical weather. He always still wears like long, heavy robes and stuff like that. And it's one of those things where like Stalbor's here and he's in long, heavy robes, but Stalbor's like gross and weird. So like it doesn't really matter, for him.
Right.
Like the Stalbor doesn't really have a pulse, maybe. I
I'm
don't
also
know.
used to the tropical climate, you ass.
Well, that too, he's existed in it in like, for like 200 years or whatever.
yeah.
But like your uncle, who's just a half elf, is he's always overdressed, and so he makes his way over to you, and he like as he's walking out, and Kieran kind of looks up and sees him like out of the corner of her eye. She sees him make his way over. You can see he's kind of like shaking his head and like muttering to himself and clearly aggravated. But by the time he actually gets over to the board, he's got a smile on his face and he's happy to see his niece. And as he walks up to you, we're gonna take our break.
Sounds good.
We will see you all in just a couple minutes.
See you.
What's a s'more?